going on, everyone? How's it going? Yes, and we're live. Welcome, everyone, to MediaScope Wakanda Edition. Did you think I was going to let Wednesday go by without us really thoroughly talking about the movie Black Panther? Alizi, welcome on the Periscope side. Good to see you. G. Garcia, thank you for saying welcome back. Thank you for being here. Desmond Herbert on the Facebook Live side. Good to see you. Kami Jamila, I see you're in here too. And Candy Sakai all the way from Japan. Welcome. Claude Diamond, Sweet Home Wakanda. That's right. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, we are going to deconstruct this movie as if a movie has never been deconstructed before. So we can't promise no spoilers. We'll try, but we can't promise. So with me, I have the crew, the posse. This is absolutely amazing that I have all of you here. How are you all doing? Everybody good?
Yes, great.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Wakanda, yes, Wakanda forever. Oh, all right. And of course, we have the producer with the mostest, MC Curtis. MC, what's going on?
Hey, everybody.
And you can tell he's excited. That's his excited voice. Ben Petrillo, thank you for being here. Levok, welcome back. So we're going to get into this whole thing, speaking about Wakanda. Let's get started. And I am going to have my distinguished panel introduce themselves, starting with Reynaldo. Reynaldo, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Reynaldo Anderson, Chair of Humanities at Harrisville State University in St. Louis, Missouri, and also the Executive Director of the Black Speculative Arts Movement.
Fantastic. And then we have Camille, Dr. Anderson, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I am Camille Anderson. I'm an Associate Professor of Communication at Kennesaw State University and the founder of Bilingual Brown Babies.
Woohoo! And Black Away from Home.
Yes, and Black Away from Home.
And then in the middle of the Brady Bunch, we've got Yalanda Lattimore. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Yalanda. Yalanda?
Her mic's muted.
Oh, your mic is muted. There you go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yalanda Lattimore. I'm also known as Dryer Buzz, 16-year editor and blogger at DryerBuzz.com and all things Atlanta. And you already know Wakanda is Atlanta.
Absolutely. And then right next to Yalanda, we've got Keith C. Wade. Go ahead. You're muted, Keith.
I'm muted. Am I muted?
Now you're unmuted. Go ahead.
I'm unmuted. How y'all doing? I'm Keith C. Wade. I'm a professor at Florida Memorial University in theater. I'm also the host of Sci-Fi Saturdays with Keith Wade and a sci-fi novelist, author of A Warrior's Path Alpha.
Fantastic. And then finally, last but not least, the person who looks like he started Wakanda at the bottom of the screen, that would be David Neely. David, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, my name is David Neely. I have a show on Periscope called News You Can Use with D Nice. It's just politics and current events and weird news around the world. And I'm a local artist as well. Happy to be here with Wakanda with the rest of you all. So proud to be here, y'all. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. All right. Zakia Ringo, thank you for being here and retweeting on Periscope. Levok, I saw you come in. I see a whole bunch of people here. Thank you for being here. And if you all have questions, those of you in Periscope land and Facebook Live land, please feel free to ask. Now, we're going to keep the conversation going, but I will remember to go back and ask any questions that you may have. So with that, before we start, can we go ahead and are we going to be able to watch the videos, Curtis?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Give me a second. Hang on.
Okay, cool beans. So if we could get video one, we've got a little precursor video to show you.
You're on.
Ah, beautiful. So, guys, that was a little bit, that was from Mashable. 5 reasons, basically, to see this film, as if you need any. All you need is 2. Chadwick Boseman. So,
Black people.
black folk. African country, okay?
Afrofuturism.
Afrofuturism. There you go, Reynaldo. Levoc is going tomorrow. That Danny Pooh, thank you for thank you for being here. Jasmine Hayes and Marco Forbes, thank you for being here on Facebook. So let's get into it. So we can start anywhere. Any of you can start. I want to know, why is this such a phenomenon? I mean, we can guess why, but I want to hear from you, from your experience. Why does this movie matter?
This movie matters because it intersects at 3 different levels. First, if you think about it, this is the first time in our adult lives we're not hearing from a certain selection of black intellectuals about this cultural moment. You know, the usual people that you see on the mainstream media, because they represent, it's a changing of the guard going on right now. And then the other thing, this is probably the most significant media cultural moment for black people, media entertainment, probably since Roots, where you had mass numbers of people watching it at the same time. And now, except this one, because of globalization and the other factors, it happened to the entire black world within hours. You know, within like 48 hours, from Africa to the United States to Latin America and so forth. And then the other thing, which was kind of somewhat radical, it was an all-black cast, but not only black, but chocolate. In terms of beauty, and it was a Pan-African creation. You know, people from every corner of the black world starred in the movie, and the movie kind of touched base in terms of a discussion or a dialogue between the diaspora and the continent about some real issues. I think one character, a dominant character, Eric Killmonger, probably represented a certain brand of political realism versus the utopian idealism of the monarchy of Wakanda. And so it intersects on a lot, and also the strong presence and governance of black women in the society. And so it intersects on several layers, that it was able to pull in several different layers of black global society and have a conversation about its past and future. And I'll stop there.
Oh, well, the conversation is over. Thank you for. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dave. Dan Pooh says that it's a transitional event for our culture and destroyed the box office, broke every record. Absolutely, David. Go ahead. Your thoughts.
Oh man, you already know. I want to be in Wakanda right now. That was funny when I left the movie. It was almost like, man, I didn't want to come back to the real America. That's how beautiful the movie was. It was just everything. And what actually made me feel so important is seeing my sons watch this movie. My sons had so much popcorn left. They didn't even eat their popcorn. They were so glued and soaking up so much of this black hero, this true black man, this true black power. And they didn't take their eyes off. I never seen my sons not eat popcorn. This was the first movie I ever seen them just stare forward, and they just couldn't even. It was almost like it shocked them. And my oldest son kept saying, he just wants to go to Wakanda. He said, Daddy, can we go? I said, if it was real, we would have already been gone. So that's what it means to me. It's just changing. It's just changing the mind. It's changing the way you see things. I mean, look at all that, like the brother said, look at all that chocolate beauty that was on there. I mean, you had, the women that were protecting the kingdom, the true army. And then you had, the characters for the ladies. You had the tough, strong black man who was really in charge and really smart and really ready to take care of his kingdom. And that is just something that is not normal in Hollywood. And I think it's just great. Imagery is everything, man. Imagery is important.
Absolutely. Representation is important. Taking Camille, I hear that you want to go next. I'll let you go next. Ben Petrillo says, what do you think about the story part? We'll get to the story part in just a minute, Ben. Thank you so much for being here. Perry Palace, thanks for inviting followers. Shaida says, I see a dialogue between Afro-pessimism and Afrofuturism in the film, and we are going to get to Afrofuturism because we have two Afrofuturists in the room, Keith and Reynaldo. So they'll be able to speak to that in a minute. Oh, my dear Camille, go ahead.
So I'm listening to what Reynaldo was saying and what David is saying in terms of representation, this whole idea of the diaspora and our children being able to see things. And there's this really magical moment that happened just across the diaspora. You've got sold out movie theaters in Sao Paulo. You've got sold out movie theaters in Chocó, Colombia. You've got sold out movie theaters all over the United States, sold out movie theaters on the continent, all trying to see ourselves and being able to see ourselves for the first time represented in a way that is indicative of our true power, our history, our the ways in which we're able to just connect and show our connections as a people. And I think that moment means a lot for us as a group, and it gives us a peek, almost a taste as to what is possible. And it gives folks hope, as opposed to not like in a savior type of mentality, in the savior sense, but in a way of, oh, so this is what it looks like when we all come together around something. This is what it looks like to see us in a positive light and have everybody on board with it. And I think that's a really, really important moment, especially for our children to be able to see beyond what they're capable of. We're essentially showing them what you're capable of being able to do just by having this wonderful imagery on the screen for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Who else wanted to tackle that?
I want to jump in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so Yalanda, then Keith.
Okay.
Well, the funny part for me is that it was the movie started out as the Black Panther story, but you notice nobody talks about the Black Panther. Everybody talks about this magical place called Wakanda. And it's been, I think one of your other guests talked about, this has been their life all the time. As a blogger for 16 years inside of Atlanta, one of our country's most chocolated city, I've lived this lifestyle of being able to immerse myself in all kind of culture. So I'm taken aback when I hear people say that this was, and trying to gauge all of this, hearing people say this was the first time that they got to see themselves and witness this kind of unity. Even though I know there's been a great deal of suppression of our imagery going on, I'm still wondering how it is, and this is the question I've been asking people, if Wakanda lit some kind of fuse in you, was it ever lit before, or what blew it out? How is it that we at this point see this many people go through almost an awakening of who we are? That to me is just blowing my mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before you get to speaking, Keith, I just want to acknowledge Dibbler. Thank you for being here and basically saying about the movie getting more shine than things that are happening in real life. But I think it needed to happen because we've had an overwhelming amount of terrible things that have happened. And it feels like we are resetting ourselves because we've had the opportunity to not be our problems for once. We need that. We need that. And I'm not just talking about Black people. I'm talking about people in general. We've had the opportunity not to be our problems. Also, Clean says, Camille, well spoken, your last point. And Kylo says, Wakanda forever, absolutely. All right, so Keith, go ahead, your thoughts.
I just wanted to address a certain aspect of the cultural significance of the film from the business standpoint, from the film industry standpoint.
Yes. For
a film like this that had a production budget of around $200 million. Never before has a studio backed a Black filmmaker with that amount of money with a property like Black Panther. And if you another aspect of what a lot of people don't know is that the $200 million budget is not the complete amount of money that Marvel Disney put behind it. There's a thing called print and advertising. So your P&A budget is usually equal to your production budget. So that means they spent about $400 million to put this film to market. And they trusted that all in the creative hands of the director.
And there's also the screen count too.
Yes. So all this money that traditionally has never been entrusted in the hands of black filmmakers or black writers, and particularly a black cast. The stereotype was that our films don't sell well overseas, and our films aren't profitable. But this year alone, you had Get Out, you had Girls Trip, and you had Fast and Furious that were all directed by black filmmakers that made upwards of $100 million, but never before had a studio backed a $400 million project. So for Ryan Coogler to come and cover not only the print and advertising budget, but the production budget in 4 days is groundbreaking for this Hollywood right now. I've already got, as a futurist myself, I've already got a call from a producer saying, "What's next?" Because they want us now. That's what's happened. That's the
concern too. That's going to be the concern too, because when you think about a film, because Hollywood has forever tried to figure out what will manipulate our emotions so much that we will spend the money so that they can make the money back. But then if you notice, at each time something like this has happened, then you get a horde of films that are follow-up films that don't necessarily meet the demand. You know, we don't follow them. Because, I mean, think about it. Everybody loves Taraji. In the anticipation of this film, Taraji dropped 2 films. She's got 1 more coming out. And yet they can't get a hold of us emotionally so that we prepare to run to the movie theater. So, you know, I'm concerned that what's going to come there, because we may see a whole, I mean, for this movie, like you're talking about fiscal, for this movie to come out in January, which means that we've got an exciting, in the filmmaking industry, there's an exciting 4 quarters to come. But what are they going to fill it with is going to be the question.
Excellent point. Excellent point. But before you go on, let me give you some of the numbers. Okay, so just yesterday, because it's still amassing, so every day you have to see what the numbers are. Yesterday, they brought in $21 million across over 4,000 North American locations, which is the highest Tuesday gross for a Marvel Cinematic Universe title.
Wait. You said 4,000 locations. Is that 4,000 screens?
Yeah, for locations.
This movie is on 4,000 screens in the U.S. Now, that's history.
No, North America, across North America.
Right, in the U.S., North America. Okay.
Yes. Also, this is the highest Tuesday gross and the 7th biggest Tuesday of all time. This film, ladies and gentlemen. Also, let's talk about it from a global perspective. They are currently at a worldwide total of $462.3 million. The bloody movie just opened Thursday.
Right. Yes. And Tuesday is a half price day.
Exactly.
and they still broke records.
$5 Tuesday.
$5 Tuesday, exactly. They broke records at with Fandango. This is, I think, the 4th biggest selling for Fandango, largest Marvel Universe selling on Fandango, pre-sold. The Thursday, their biggest Thursday, one of the biggest Thursday openings, 25.6 million. And it's just going to continue to go. So, you know, we're talking about numbers, Keith. So go ahead.
And it hasn't even opened in the biggest overseas markets, China and Russia. It hasn't even opened in those markets yet.
Oh.
So.
And when you speak of China and Russia, I was in a group, and they mentioned, we were listening to a radio interview, and they mentioned Afrofuturism.
Afrofuturism.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody knew about it. Every culture knew about this except for the African Americans in the room. So what does that say?
That's specific. That's a specific thing.
You know what? Let's do this. Let's talk about Afrofuturism in just a moment. I wanted to bring in somebody on Periscope brought up the fact of the filmmakers and doing something with this money. I'll withhold judgment for this. Camille, you or whoever, what do you think about, especially, okay, well, let's go to this. Yalanda and Camille, the both of you are in Atlanta. 80% of this film was shot in Atlanta. What are you seeing in terms of economy? What did this film do anything for the economy? Did this film do anything in terms of employing local filmmakers, et cetera? Talk about what the landscape is now in Atlanta because of Black Panther.
Well, this was the first film that was shot at Tyler Perry's studio. So it's like, it was almost like his debut as a studio, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Yolanda. So that is impactful in terms of everyone. There's been a lot of rumblings on Tyler Perry studio is opening. And then we get this release of this huge film and then come out behind the fact and hearing that, oh wow, and all those indoor shots were done at his studio. So it's one of the first major films to be shot is this one. So that says a lot in terms of, especially with the whole idea of folks starting to come down to Atlanta because we're now the new Black Hollywood, right? Everybody's coming down to Atlanta because we're the new Black Hollywood. But it is gonna ramp up some things that are happening. You see colleges in the area starting to change and rework their majors in order to work with these different shows in the area and doing more things with media and film and videography and all of this stuff. The comm departments are scrambling, trying to capitalize on this new energy that's coming around this whole idea of film and film production.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this: the rent's too damn high for one. That's the new thing. I mean, everybody's excited about Hollywood coming to Atlanta, but I don't think anybody has anticipated that the lifestyle in the city would change. Right. I actually had a house within walking distance of Fort McPherson, which is now Tyler Perry Studios, that I sold 10 years ago. And I'm like, dang, I should have held on.
Should have kept it.
Pittsburgh held on. I'm telling you, I mean, I got a good deal then, but dang, if we had just held on 10 years, it's like, okay. And that's the thing, it's really hard to forecast it. But when you think about why the film community is here, we've got to make sure, and this is something that we, as beyond consumers, we've got to make sure that we keep the right people in office because of the incentives that go to this industry so that these jobs do stay here. Because I think in Louisiana, things changed and Hollywood picked up and moved out. So, but there is the actual...
That's what Zoom does here in Florida.
Right. The actual film... What is it? The company that put out this film, they are actually building their own studio, and they were talking that the sales of the houses and properties in that area are going crazy right now. I mean, it's almost like you could forecast it, you could predict it, but then at the same time you couldn't. It's amazing.
Inside the perimeter is ridiculous now because of all of this change. Like there are houses in where like Spelman and Morehouse and Clark that are going for $500,000, $1 million, $2 million now.
Yeah, $500,000 is
like bungalow style houses, shotgun houses even sometimes, and property value inside the perimeter, inside of Atlanta, the Atlanta proper is ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous right now.
Well, so this is, I mean, it has a good effect and a bad effect, it seems, because while this is good and it brings money into the economy, we're talking about now, there are people who are not going to be able to afford that and they may end up getting displaced. So that's a whole other conversation. So Wakanda has now gentrified Atlanta. Thanks, Wakanda.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. And you saw that all throughout the election, affordability, keeping the taxes and things like that. But hey, progress has to happen. You can't fight it.
Absolutely. Claude Diamond says Wakanda Estates in Atlanta coming soon. I can see that happening. Absolutely. Shout out to Tyler for doing what he did. Somebody asked, Ed White asked, is Marietta inside the perimeter or outside the perimeter?
Outside. It's outside the perimeter, but it's outside the perimeter, but they're seeing major growth because they have a new baseball park. Yes. And of course, with the new baseball park, they had rent increases as well.
Yeah, they moved the Braves out to that area of the metro, and because actually that teach in Marietta, so that's where I teach. So
wow. Okay, that's right. I kind of saw. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, fantastic. All right, so let's move to this whole. I'm feeling like I want to touch a little bit on Afrofuturism. Let's start with Reynaldo and then Keith. So what the hell is Afrofuturism? Some people don't know. Some people don't know. So, but we
101.
Yes. Let's go back. So Reynaldo has a book called Afrofuturism 2.0. Let's go to Afrofuturism 101. What is that, and why is that cropping up now in relationship to this movie?
All right. Let me see. I'm going to try and now the simple term for it. You could say what it is. It's an emerging Pan-African social philosophy that has 5 characteristics. It deals with your metaphysics in terms of worldview, your cosmology, in terms of what you think of the universe. It deals with social sciences. It deals with theoretical and applied science. It deals with aesthetics. It deals with programmatic spaces, and how you saw it exemplified in the movie was you saw the overlap of African magic with technology, with traditional attire, and contemporary political science. You saw that the Africans. You didn't see nothing about Christianity or Islam in the movie. That was all about. And they had it mixed with their vibranium and their technology, and and how it adapted to, and how it had this overlap between modernity and postmodernity, and so that's really what they captured. Afrofuturism is about in a cinematic format, where they kept their African, their faith, their worldview, like they saw no contradiction between believing and the god, the Anuman or Bas, and then having vibranium and pulsar weapons and spaceships. And that's really what Afrofuturism deals with in a nutshell.
Okay, now if that's the 101, we're in trouble.
I
know. Right.
I thought he was just going to say, right, I thought y'all were going to say black people in comics.
Well, I mean,
let me try to give it to you from
part of it.
So give it to us from the lay perspective, because of course Reynaldo is a professor and he teaches it from a particular perspective. So in your concept or conceptualization, what is Afrofuturism?
Afrofuturism is African American throughout the diaspora in circumstances in the speculative fiction format. It is the vision of ourselves without colonialism. It is a vision of ourselves 365 years from now and beyond, because primarily we haven't seen ourselves, a representation of ourselves, since Uhura in the future. And Afrofuturism and Afrofuturism writers like Stephen Barnes, like Hopkins, like myself, have visualized African Americans, African Americans.
You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up a little bit, Keith.
Can you hear me better?
Still breaking up a little bit. But you're doing a hell of a job of explaining what Afrofuturism. Yalanda, is that a little more helpful?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds familiar, but it's just, I know because of the room that I was in and the fact that there were other cultures, and I guess because of the whole clique. And let's talk about this. The ones who follow the Marvel comics, they feel like that. They feel like that we kind of hijacked the movie. This was them going and seeing the life and the family and all that of Black Panther, and then for us to take it on as something like epically cultural. The true diehard comic book followers feel like we have hijacked something from them. You know,
Aw.
and we get that all the time.
I got to push back on those folks.
My love violin.
Right.
All those people
Yeah. Because you know, every time something gets enjoyed by the mainstream, people don't like it.
Are you talking about that?
I'm talking about the movie. It's like every time when something gets that larger audience, people feel like it's washed out a little bit, you know? Like this was something
So it's like it's watered down. It's become, I mean, even though mainstream is probably not the right word, but I see what you're saying. So in that strain, Yalanda, and what she's talking about, what you saw, black folks spared no expense when they went to the movie. Look at what David Neely has on. That's basically what they did. They came not only in African attire, they came with cosplay.
African drummers.
African dancers, African drummers. They came in cosplay from the movie, from Coming to America, from The Lion King. Whatever was somewhat African, they came. It didn't matter what.
Right. Without even understanding that they were involved in cosplay.
Exactly. Without even understanding. So for Keith or whoever does that, to Yolanda's point, does that water it down? And is this put on? Are we going to tomorrow? Oh, Black History Month is over, so we no longer need to wear our Ankara or shoke or whatever. Is this a one-time thing that we're going to hang up as soon as we put the plastic on our dashiki till next year? Whoever.
Hope not.
You know, one of the reasons why I was slightly salty going into the movie is because I live in Wakanda. Wakanda is a lifestyle for me. I have residence there. I have all the rest of my cousins visiting. Thought was, y'all gonna stay? My hope was, you gonna stay? That was my. And then I actually met Letitia in the movie, and she was such a precious, God-fearing woman that I was reinvigorated behind just wanting to support her. And so then, of course, when I saw the film on Friday with a bunch of other folks, and just the feeling, like I cried twice watching it.
Wow.
And just the feeling of our community being there, it's like a family reunion. Even if you don't see your family all the time, you were just glad they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really glad they're there. Even if you don't stay in Wakanda, if you hang up your dashiki after, after the 28th, okay, I got you. But remember that you have family. Remember that you are home. It was a moment of profound pride, and I couldn't stop talking. And I was stuck there. And every time I saw them, I was like, colonizers. Every time I was stuck. I was just stuck there.
You're getting me to bring it out. That's an interesting point, though. That's very interesting.
It's not to do that. It's not to do that.
Oh no.
Tachi.
Yes.
I never freeze.
Brother, you are. Oh my God.
You know what? All of that came out, and it was an excuse to do it and to be okay doing it. I think sometimes people don't feel that they can participate. There's a very specific, particular thing I want to ask about participation, but let me go to the chat. Sheena Carey says, "Don't they realize that the Black Panther series began in the 1960s?" Exactly, 1960s. Right. Is when Black Panther first. That is your mother. That is your mama. Also, Kit Dat Harto, thank you for following it. Thank you for your words. Chosen Mogul, thank you for being here. There were some comments about it's just a movie. Why is this so important? Just what he said there. That's why I'm like, somebody will answer that. Exactly what Keith said there, and what we've all been saying is exact. It is not just a movie. This is why you've heard it called a movement. There is something. If we did not need this, it would not be of importance to us. So it is not just a movie for us. Perhaps for every other Marvel aficionado, it's just a movie. But for us, it is not, because this is the first time that we've had such critical representation. And here's the thing about representation, guys. If you don't see yourself represented, you don't believe it's possible. And I'm not just talking about grown folks. I'm talking about children. They need to see it's possible to become productive members of society. Just saying.
Right. And think about this, though.
Hold on just a minute. Let me get Reynaldo. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tatachi, you asked what they were going to do with it. I did a talk in LA a couple of years ago where I said the future of Afrofuturism was in Africa. Now, this is why some people kind of hot at Ryan Coogler right now, because I'm going to tell you that all those Africans in South Africa that were watching it, the Wakandan language is in the Xhosa language. So those people over there, looking at it like, so those people are looking at it like, look, we got the numbers and the resources to like make Wakanda for real over here, which means some people are going to have to end up getting up out of there, if they choose to go on that route. Because I said, even though the concept kind of starts here in North America, is going to be Africans are going to have the power to take it to the next level because they can control their own institutions. And in terms of, I look at it as practical application in terms of military science, engineering, architecture, and a host of other things. So while in North America it'll pertain, say, in a speculative realm, in Africa they can actually make it become a reality, which is why I don't really pay that much attention to the Afro-pessimists, because the Afro-pessimists aren't going to build anything. They're just be contrarian.
Mm-hmm. Wow, absolutely.
And
good point.
And so that's when I put together 2.0, that's the African continent, and the African Union is going to be in charge of making it 3.0.
Okay, interesting. So we'll be watching for that. So let's take a little bit of a break. We have another little video, and this is actually breaking down a scene, because my next question for you all is going to be your favorite scene from the movie without giving spoilers. So this little clip, let me give a precursor, is actually Ryan Coogler. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on YouTube, explaining from my favorite scene, the fight scene in the club. So we're going to watch a little bit of it, and then I'll come back and ask you guys about your thoughts about that scene and your favorite scenes. Can we have video 2, MC Curtis?
Hey, what's going on? I'm Ryan Coogler, co-writer and director of Marvel Studios' Black Panther, and this is Notes on the Scene. So this scene takes place in the second act of the film. T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o, and Okoye, played by Denai Guerrero, are on a covert mission to extract Wakanda's #1 enemy, Ulysses Claw.
It's now or never. Yes, sir. Hey. That's it.
The mission's kind of spearheaded by Lupita Nyong'o here in this magnificent green dress that our costume designer 3D printed, actually. A lot of African symbolism here, like Wakandan text, is drawn in lines and boxes as opposed to round shapes. At the same time, Lupita looks fierce and like a warrior. Different hairstyle than you see her in too. We had a big emphasis on Wakandans having natural hair, and there's a lot of motifs about femininity, especially black femininity here in this scene.
It's now or never. Yes, sir.
We cut to Okoye and we see her in this red dress. We accented it with gold to bring out a little bit of the Wakandan. And the gold is kind of a ranking system. But the more important thing here is that she's wearing this wig. For the Dora, a big thing for them is symbolism of their bald head. When they become Dora Milaje, they shave their head. It's something that's present in the comics. It's something we really ran with in this film. So for her, it's a dishonor for her to ever cover her bald head. But because she's on this mission, she's got to kind of look like she's fitting into the Western world. She has to hide in plain sight. With this elaborate, pretty good looking wig here, you'll see, nobody else in this sequence is wearing the color red. Nobody else in the sequence is wearing the color green. Folks who are familiar with the concept of Pan-Africanism, the Pan-African flag is red, black, and green. So when you see T'Challa, Nakia, and Okoye in their covert looks, you see the colors of the Pan-African flag.
It's now or never. Yes, sir.
Nakia's trying to go to interfere with the transaction that's happening, and she's yelling at her to stand down, but she makes the mistake of yelling at her in Xhosa. This represents the clique right there. Xhosa. She yells "Yela," which is Wakandan or Xhosa for stand down. These South African goons that came with claw, they actually hear that. Right. So when she gets discovered, she's happy to just let the Wakandan out. Right. Somebody touches Okoye. That's the first thing that somebody does. And an idea of how Wakandans react to being touched unwarranted. This idea of not being in control of your own body and having to be touched by people who you don't feel like being touched by. And it also comes with being a woman as well. Down here, T'Challa is somewhere about right there, and Nakia is somewhere down here on this first floor. In many ways, Denai is kind of isolated. Okoye is isolated up here on this second floor. We want to turn that on his head because she's a really powerful warrior, and this is when you kind of get to see her shine. Big theme in this is tradition versus innovation. So we broke the characters down. Okoye is a traditionalist, so she fights with a traditional weapon, the African spear, always made out of vibranium, and she fights in a very traditional style. It almost looks like dancing when she fights. This is a moment that's been in the script since the first draft. This idea of Okoye, the traditionalist Wakandan, just being tired of this wig. She makes comments to Nakia that she doesn't want to have it on in the first place. So as soon as the fight jumps off, she finds a way to take it off. So she ends up throwing it on this guy's face, and we see how he reacts to that. For impact, we.
Okay, guys, so this, you can actually see this on YouTube. It's a Vanity Fair piece that is on YouTube. I really, really think you guys should watch it, right? You can see the whole deconstruction of that scene. What I would love to do is sit in a class with Ryan Coogler and have him deconstruct all the different, that would be like sitting at the foot of the masters. I would absolutely love that. So,
that's going to be that $40 DVD.
Exactly, but I would pay it because I would be so interested.
Yeah.
Dab Studio, absolutely. So, guys, this particular scene is my favorite. First of all, when she's walking and Lupita Nyong'o says about the wig, it looks nice, and she says it's a disgrace. That's my favorite part. Then when she takes this disgraceful wig and almost impales this individual with it, so the whole choreography of that scene is amazing. That fight, whoever the choreographer was, needs to win something as well. So I want to go through each of you. If you could quickly tell me what your favorite scene is in the film. Just one scene that's your favorite.
My favorite was the barking.
Okay, the barking. Okay. From the mountain tribe.
Right.
M'Baku. Yes.
For me, I go aesthetics, and I have to go with the scene of the falls when he first comes back
the falls.
The falls, and everybody is there, and you see all the colors and the vibrancy. Like that right there was aesthetically, it's like, oh my gosh, and all the other stuff that comes with that in terms of symbolism and this, that, and the other. But that was the most moving for me, the most powerful thing for me in the movie.
Beautiful.
I think my favorite scene was when T'Challa first went to the afterlife to meet his father.
Yes.
That initially brought me to tears. I know I know exactly what happened with us and our disconnection from our fathers and our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So that really brought me to tears. And when he kneeled down at his father and he said, "Stand up, you are king," I just booed. That was it for me.
Wow, no shame. I can understand because that's a very real connection. Who's next, David?
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes was with Killmonger, and he was in the art gallery. And
Oh yes, yes, yes.
was trying to explain to him and say, "Oh, well, that's from Belize," and he was like, "Nah, that's from Wakanda." And then when she tried to be like, "Well, you can't have that," he was like, "What you mean I can't have that? I'm gonna take it just like y'all took it from us and from
Right."
So I was like, they dropping truth bombs in this film, and that's when I knew that this was going to be. And I knew that Killmonger was more than a villain; he was actually our thoughts. Some of us were actually in himself. So. It's true.
I think going into the movie, we knew Killmonger wasn't just your average villain. I mean, that whole story, because right before this movie came out, with the Black Lightning television show, there is this the discussion about the burden of the black superhero, and while everybody else gets to go off and fight in the galaxy, that the black superhero wants to first fix his community. So that was already a discussion, and to find out that was this Killmonger character, I think that's why everybody loves him, or is in awe of him, because he wasn't your average villain. It wasn't about selfishness. He was really trying to go, and it brings us to our history of, we've always had these two diabolical ideologies kind of butting heads and never really truly working together, going all the way back to Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois, Markham and Malcolm. We always seem to have two, butting heads together and not really working together.
So, David Neely, hold on, because I know you have your Killmonger theory. So, but hold on, I see that hat is like boiling. I know you want to get it out there, but Reynaldo, did you have a favorite scene? Yeah.
Yes. Any scene with Okoye in it, I was like, baby, I will be up under your spear. Baby, I will be up under that spear anytime you want me.
Ronaldo, come on now, mate.
I was expecting something deep.
Hey, because when she made that statement, I mean, because she was sexy and strong. My favorite statement she made, when she said, "Well, does she speak English?" She said, "When she wants to."
When she wants to.
That he was almost impaled. When he was almost seconds away from just for touching the brother, he was about to be impaled. Man, if you give me 50,000 women like that, Donald Trump be in trouble.
50,000 women?
Here we go. Wow. Here we go. Wow. Here we go. All right. So, David Neely, you have a theory. So, know that there's this whole, we're winding down, folks. There's this whole concept of Killmonger and who he represents and what he represents in the film. And Yalanda started it off a little bit in terms of the opposition, the dichotomy of one versus the other. David, you said you have a theory about Killmonger. Go ahead, share it.
Yeah, I don't, I know people want to say that this was like Martin versus Malcolm, but I actually want to take this a step further, because if you listen to some of the things that Killmonger said, especially when it was ramping up after he, I don't want to do too much spoilers, but he got it in a bigger spot on himself. He mentioned that not only do I want to take the weapons and all of this technology, I want to use it to kill people and take them over. And not only that, but he said men, women, and children. And so if he's doing that, then that actually is more like Nat Turner than it is a Malcolm X. Because Malcolm X, Nat Turner was more of the by all means necessary. You can't leave anyone alive. And that is what Killmonger said in the movie. He said, we can't let none of them be alive because we have to take it over. We have to do them like they do us. And that was not, if you ever seen A Birth of a Nation with Nate Parker, he put this image of him out there in this movie, even though nobody saw it. But I encourage people to check it out. But if you listen to it, these are parallel people. Nat Turner was the same way. It was by all means, and we taking out everybody, including kids and women. They said that in the film. So he's Malcolm X more than Nat Turner.
Interesting. Dab Studio, thank you for your comment. Martin versus Malcolm, he says, there's so many comments. I'm like missing, because usually when I do my show, I can catch them, but this is so chock full of stuff, I can't even. So Kevin Tate says, no villain, real or created, is evil simply for evil's sake. They believe in their heart of hearts. So absolutely. The name of the video on YouTube, I have to find it. You know what I'll do? I'll post it on my Twitter. My Twitter is exactly as the same on Periscope, @Tatiana. I'll post it on Twitter so you guys can watch it if you so wish. Let's see. Killmonger, Manubo says Killmonger needs to be resurrected. Well, that's interesting. This movie has brought up a lot of conversations, which we don't have time to do today. We have one last conversation piece, and quickly, I would like for everybody to say, yay, okay, that's nice, Wakanda, what now? So, let's start with Reynaldo and Dr. Reynaldo Anderson. What now?
Well, I want to see what the domino effect is going to be of the movie in terms of what does it do for autonomous Black creativity, in terms of how do we incorporate the ideas in things that we make, scholarship, classroom, building and making some things, in terms of it being a spark to do some other things over the next several years. And that's why I told people the immediate effect you might not see, but you're going to see a spark, because the thing I saw in the movie was the impact between people between the ages of 9 and 13. And my daughter, when she sat next to me, I saw her chin cupped in her chin the entire time. It's like she didn't do anything. And we had to go back. She wants to see it a third time. Wow. I mean, she was like, Daddy, I've never seen the current young crop of kids act like that. It was like they were just like frozen. And then, because we saw it Thursday night, and then after it was over, I was surprised with the standing ovation. They were give a big ovation. I mean, cheering through the credits, and so I think it's gonna make people rethink some things in terms of, or just start the work of saying, okay, there is an alternative vision or path that I want to spend chasing. Even if it's even though that was a Black speculative zone of relief for a couple hours. How do I take it from that zone and make it happen in my material space, whether it's through art or through all kinds of other things? You're going to have some people coming out of that. That was a life-changing experience, like going to a revival, in terms of that was like a church experience for secular people or even non-secular people, whatever, for about a couple hours. I mean, I had students tell me that they wish it had been 3 or 4 hours long. And so you're going to see it's going to have a domino effect around the world in different locales. You'll see it take place. Brazil is going to have to put more Black people into their cinema. Africa, you're going to see it probably impact some of their politics or discussions between the diaspora and the continent. African Americans, maybe more opportunities and more influence in Hollywood. So it's going to look different in different spaces.
Great point. Yalanda, go ahead. What now?
I'll tell you, and like we said, the movie just came out here in the first quarter. So you got to think about what's going to happen the second, third, and fourth quarter. I know here in Atlanta, since the movie came out, every night there have been major talkbacks hosted by the library, the arts community, and the film community here. Now, for you young people, got to think about it. If we've been waiting for something like this for 10, 15 years, that's their entire life. So you want to, those of us that said we already live in Wakanda, we live in Wakanda because we support local, we support film festivals. So there are people that have been following this film for the entire 2 years that it was being made, because it went on the film festival circuit, the Pan-African Film Festival. I think it's happening like right now. So don't just allow that yearning and this awakening. You don't want this momentum to die out. The Dragon Cons, the Comic Cons, the Momo Cons, all of those things that are going to happen this summer, they will now have, listen, these people, the people that were in this film, they now have opportunity for the rest of their life. Think about the actress in Star Trek. every year, the operator, what was her name? Michelle. Michelle. She goes to these conventions every year. So just think from now on, every year there is going to be a Black Panther symposium, a panel that's going to include Ryan Coogler. It's going to include all of the actors. That's going to happen every year, and it's already happening now. So take these young people. If you saw them lean in the movie theater and they want more, please take them to the film festivals and to the other events that happen after this. Especially check to see if your library right now is having, I think they're called Hero. It's a hashtag, something hero, that's happening right now on the local circuits.
Fantastic. Keith.
Where do we go from here? We continue to promote Afrofuturism. Afrofuturism has to be now. For me, it was a visual experience because, like I said, I live in Wakanda and I created my own Wakanda called New Senegal. And my book wasn't selling so well, and I was a little down about it. But I realized that everything I saw in that film was something that I already visualized in my dreams for years, and it actually happened. It inspired me. Like, okay, I got to get my second book out. I got to get A Warrior's Journey out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take 50 kids out of my own pocket to see Black Panther, and then I'm going to inspire them to, okay, now write your own story. Because for Star Trek, which came out in 1966, there was Star Wars, and then there was Game of Thrones, and there's so much of our story we still have to tell. And so what happens now is we start telling it. The Hollywood community has now their proof that we are marketable and bankable, so we have to step on that, and we have to create our vision. I'm going to create my vision, and I hope everybody here kind of gets into it and creates their vision. And we have to take active participation in the generation after us to create their vision. We have to take an active role in having them see themselves beyond their current circumstances. Not every story has to be about, us struggling in the hood. Now our stories can justifiably be about space and the space below space and the ocean and everywhere that intellectually we know we've already been and can continue to go.
Amen. Camille, because I see the little one is there, so go ahead.
I think for me, there's a different sort of thing around it, because a lot of the folks that I've been talking to, I see a shifting away from this glam travel noir to something that is a little bit more intentional. Folks are now, just because in the span of a weekend, it's no longer about should I go to Bali. It's I've never been to Almina Castle. I want to see what's happening there. It's being able to point folks to the discussions that I'm having with my people are about now everybody needs to read Ayekwe Ama's 2000 Seasons so that you can start getting some other information. So being able to see this resurgence of a different type of connection, being able to look at this increase in how we perform our aesthetic and the pride that we take in performing our aesthetic is going to look very different. Yes, you got folks that are, never knew that they were doing cosplay, but they also are going to start to realize that the choices that they chose in terms of what they were wearing and how they were wearing things all has a lot to do with their connection to that African aesthetic. So there'll be a different type of prominence. It's not just going to be, folks are talking about on social media, it's not going to be the Chinese dashikis, but it's going to it's going to be actually Ankara. It's going to be the Ashoke fabric. It's going to be more of that stuff that you're going to see, because people are really trying to make sure that they are honoring that aesthetic in a different way. For me.
Absolutely fantastic. And wait, who? Just David Neely, right? Go ahead, Prime Time.
All right. I think moving forward, we just got to keep supporting. I mean, you have Ava DuVernay's movies coming out, The Wrinkle in Time. Yep. This is another all-black cast, and I think if we are going to support, let's put our feet on the concrete and support this one too. Let's push this one over the edge. So
that one's not all black.
I don't think you're going to say.
Wrinkle in Time is not all black.
I had a debate with somebody. I don't think
all black. No, it's not all black.
Okay, because I saw Ava DuVernay directing though, right?
I don't think you're going to see support for A Wrinkle in Time from the community. That's going to be a different demographic.
Well, you know what? It's a different demographic, but
I'm just saying support the director. I'm saying support.
Well, hold on. Go ahead and finish, David.
Yeah, I'm saying supporting black directors. I'm just saying let's get more Ryan Cooglers. Let's get more Ava DuVernays. Let's see when they produce stuff. Let's go out and support it. And just like in Georgia, in Atlanta, I think they said something about it was $89 million that it brought to the community. I mean, that stuff is important. And, we just want to keep pushing it. I saw people were doing Wakanda the Vote. I saw that people been doing that to get people registered. I saw people changing the curriculum. There's actually going to be a new curriculum that's going to study this movie. I saw Michael Inhotep, he posted this, that there's going to be a new curriculum that's going to be single around this movie. And so centered around this movie. So I think that's something we need to keep doing. Educating ourselves, learn about ourselves, and dig deep. I found out about Mansa Musa today, and I was shocked at similarities between Black Panther and Mansa Musa, about his riches and his wealth and how he took care of his people. So this is important, and I think moving forward, support businesses, support our directors, support our actors, and just support, period. Let's build the Wakanda for ourselves. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say, let me tell you all that you all rock. Last minute, I asked every single one of these people, hey, can you come on tomorrow? And they were like, sure. And that's how awesome the people I know are. Not only are they willing to help, but they're also super knowledgeable. I mean, these are some of the most knowledgeable people I know. You make me better. I'm able to, grow and learn from you all. So thank you so much. What I did forget to tell you all is these are some awesome people, and you should contact them. So let's start with Camille. What is your social media? How can people reach you on social media?
I am on various forms. You can contact me on social media either under Bilingual Brown Babies or Black Away From Home on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook as Bilingual Brown Babies and Black Away From Home. and I also have email bilingualbrownbabies@KJAndersonPhD.com.
Fantastic. Dryer Buzz. Yalanda, go ahead.
Of course, you can filter the entire internet using the hashtag Dryer Buzz on all social media. I'm excited about living in Wakanda and celebrating our 16th anniversary of blogging stories like this. Shout out Black Women in Film. They are having their event, their festival coming up. So again, support the festivals, but just Dryer Buzz everywhere, guys. And follow me tonight because I'm going home and cook. I'm sitting in the store parking lot. I'm going home and cook Taste of Wakanda.
Oh, very good. Okay, so definitely watch that. All right, David Neely, go ahead. How can people reach you on social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at primetime 7 p.m. 09. I know that's the longest name in history, but you can find me there. You can find me on Facebook under David Neely. And you can just search. I have my new Facebook fan page up for news you can use with D Nice. You can just simply search that and you can contact me there. Catch me on Instagram at the same thing, primetime 7 p.m. 09.
Fantastic.
Wakanda
Fantastic. Forever. Wakanda forever. And I see, before we get to you, let's go to the good doctor at Harris Stowe University, Reynaldo Anderson. How can people reach you on social?
They can follow me at Hardcore888 on Twitter. Dryer Buzz and I follow each other.
Good.
Hardcore888 on Twitter or Afrofuturism 2.0 on Facebook. As they will see my pictures, I'm shifting into my Eric Killmonger face to prepare for an invasion.
Oh Lord!
Hey, I told people I treat all my work like a military campaign. I plan them out over 18 months and reach my objectives. So, those are the two best ways to reach me on Twitter or Facebook, Afrofuturism.
Fantastic. And then finally, my good friend, Keith from Florida Memorial University. How can people reach you on social?
I am Keith C. Wade on Facebook. I'm the only one, Keith C. Middle initial Wade. On Instagram, I'm Mosamaya, Mojosmia. Find Warriors Path Alpha at awp.com. And Sci-Fi Saturdays with Keith C. Wade is also on Facebook. Just look up Sci-Fi Saturdays with Keith C. Wade, and we have a podcast every first Saturday of the month. It's the adult version of Saturday morning cartoons.
It is off the chain. I went to the first one. It is amazing. So I will be at the next one if somebody could just remind me. So anyway, and my name is Tachi. I'm the host here. I host MediaScope every Wednesday right here on this channel. I talk all about media, tech, and pop culture news. It's like the livest media party ever. You got to join us. So yeah, we have a blast. So there are a lot of MediaScopers in here, and I appreciate you for being here. And the person that's running the bells and whistles behind the scenes is MC Curtis. Really, he's Curtis Brooks Media Productions. I just call him MC Curtis, and everybody affectionately knows him as such. Again, Wednesdays, MediaScope, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Periscope and Facebook Live. Come join the party. Why wouldn't you want to? Once again, I thank all of my distinguished guests for being here because you rocked the mic and the knowledge. If only we had more time. I mean, we just scratched the surface of this movie. This is a whole season series of shows, basically. So maybe we'll come back. Maybe I'll have you back and we'll deconstruct again because I love the dynamic here. So with that, I am going to sign off. And so I'm going to sign off the way I always sign off MediaScope. Oh, and okay, you know what? I'm rude. People on Periscope and people on Facebook Live, thank you for being here. Zakia Ringgold says, nice job, Curtis. Thank you, Dan Pooh, for saying great show. The artist Roderick, I will do this again, definitely. Joe Wheeler, Asia Brunson. Yeah, you missed the Wakanda Edition, but you can watch the replay. Everybody who was here. Claude Diamond, thank you for being here. Sean Dwindle, thank you for being here. Texwell the Wiz, good to know you. You know what? It is more than a movie. If you had listened to the conversation, you would see. So, thank you so much for being here. I love you for watching. I bid you adieu. Everybody, let's point to the left. We are going to exit stage left. All right. Cheers, guys. Bye.